right, welcome back to another Sunday weekly recap. Good to start right there. Hope you guys having a wonderful day and had a great week. Last week, it's been a while because 2 weeks I decided to not record any videos as I was traveling and wasn't on my actual setup. So I sent you guys a detail of the back pocket watch list and everything. So as expected, things are slow again. By the way, excuse my voice because I've been a little under weather and try to get better, and just excuse that. Probably you can hear some coughing and my nose is not as usual. So yeah, hopefully coming week I'll feel better and I can trade as normal as always. So anyway, let's get started with what happened kind of last week and what's going on with the market in overall. As you guys probably heard and know, let's talk about a little bit of a macro thing. We're in this environment of fixing the debt ceiling and all that, opening it up, all those kind of news that are pretty much you will hear every day that there's a headline that are talking about the debt limit, and House of Representative McCarthy tried to come up with the idea, and then Biden. And as you guys know, U.S. is near default, which is very problematic, and you can kind of see how that really affects the stock market in general. I mean, that's number one thing you should pay attention to, because without really having liquidity, I mean, this year has been a number one year, I would say, that we had this much of liquidity problem across the market. Not necessarily small cap, not necessarily mid cap. In general, stock market have this issue. Not just the stock market, majority of the businesses, majority of the sectors are companies that are having this cash issue. The limit. I mean, because U.S. has been a borrower since the day one, and there wasn't any solution to it, and that still continues. So things can get choppier if they cannot come up with the really good plan for debt ceiling. I mean, as you guys can see, all the headlines, things are pretty bad in general. But there are lots of positive in their talks, in their conversation. But in reality, we're talking about higher inflation, lots of prints, um, if they're going to do remove the debt ceiling and all that, make it unlimited. So that's something that it's very scary. There's gonna be lots of consequences. So we'll see how it goes. So be prepared, get ready. It's not gonna be a nice term. It's not gonna be beautiful, as I always mention for the past few months. If you go back to the videos, you listen to what I said. I mentioned that it's not gonna be um, very very much likely like the other previous years, especially in the upcoming months, and as this summer. Uh, but around this, as a market analysis, when you look at the market cycle, we normally have this slowness from this time frame to generally in the summertime, things can get very slow. And then we go back to September, August, September, normally kind of market. We'll get back to the it normalize itself, but things are change. It's not like before anymore. Cycles change. There's a lot of stuff that you need to calculate. You need to look in a different aspects that you need to look at and consider. So yeah, that's one thing. And to keep that in mind. I mean, when we are having these kind of issues, you probably want to understand that how much money that you're going to put in, how much size that you're going to uh, go with. I'm still getting messages that are people are confused about the size management. Obviously, managing your size, it's not an easy task. It's not something that you will understand. You need to put it in the samples. You need to try and errors, and then see what is best for you um, in order to become a consistent, profitable trader. Um, One thing that they always mention that if you go to the course that I created for you, the beginner course, I explain a lot about sizing and all that. Um, but in detail, I'll talk about it once you kind of pass by your general understanding of the beginner kind of stuff. I will talk about it deeply, and also in my private session, where I talk to the trader, walk them through how they're really position sizing on the stock, especially when we're talking about these small caps. They're relatively I mean, they're mainly risky, and your sizing is the number one thing that you want to pay attention to. If you don't have a proper size, you probably not gonna be profitable in that trade. So you need to understand, that's really depend on your account sizing. I mean, I've been talking about this many times. So this is getting cliche. If you go back to the previous videos, you kind of, if you follow me, you would understand what are the key metrics that you need to follow if you have a smaller size account, or if you have a bigger size account, whichever you makes you comfortable with it. And you also have to think about, if you're starting it, you have to think about it as a part-time job. You're not gonna go put your house money, or not a house. I'm sorry, your house, or your cars, your everyday life. You're not gonna put that money into the market, and then once you lose it, you're not gonna you're gonna sit down and cry, because that's your life saving. That's your everything that you have. So that's 100% wrong, and it's not suggestible. You should not do that. You should make sure to always use the money that you can afford to lose. And those are very important. You gotta these stuff teach you how to be a good risk manager, and you learn about risk management and all that. So that's my 2 cents. For a lot of you guys, still confusing about this stuff, but let's get started to our watch list. But before I start, as always, everything that I'm talking about is for educational purposes. It's not an investment advisement. You should not take this as an investment advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, so if you don't like it, just don't watch it. If you like it, keep going. So last week, I would say 2 weeks ago, because I wasn't pretty much trading because I was traveling, took some days off, and that's the beauty of traveling and trading. Sometimes you want to trade whenever you want. You want to trade wherever you are. So those are the things that you always can really be happy with trading, and that's why I became a full-time trader, because I was able to manage my own time, manage my own schedule, where, when, when how I want to trade. So and not how, when and where basically. There's no because there's no there's no order for me. There's no boss or authority above me myself to tell me, hey, you have to be there at a certain time frame. But obviously, it comes down to your discipline level. It comes down to your how much you adapt yourself. I mean, for me, I've been trading for a very long time, and then I've been waking up so early and trading for a few hours and then done for a day. Especially when you live in the West Coast side of the world, it's much convenient in terms of you have your entire day, but it's also not convenient for a lot of people to wake up that early, 4 a.m., 3 a.m. I used to woke up at 3 a.m. Still try to get above that, but I'm still waking up at 5 a.m. 100%. So I mean, still not that 3 a.m. anymore, but obviously when the market is kind of hotter, I will do that because that's my routine. I create that habit. It's a habitat for me. uh, I used to run when I wake up at 3 a.m, go down and run the whole block, and then come back, sit down, have my um, drink, not a coffee, and take a cold shower, back to the business, get to the pre-market. And that's how you should kind of build that for yourself if you want to be a full-time trader. Obviously, I'm not suggesting to not sleep. It comes with that lack of sleep and all that, but it's always good to be early. Be early. I know a lot of you guys are too late. Be early because early birds always gets the worm. I mean that's an old saying, right? And then once you done, you have your entire day. You can go back to sleep, rest, and then wake up, do other stuff. And these are the stuff that you can do. Obviously, if you live in the East Coast, uh, you can do that the same thing, but you have more time to sleep and wake up. So that's different. But these are the things, I mean, these are the opportunity you have to wake up, especially in small cap. You have to be early for the pre-market because your best bet is the pre-market. Uh, um, Obviously, we haven't had much pre-market activity like last year. Excuse me. But still, you get to wake up and observe and analyze. You put your thesis together, plans together, see all the stocks that are moving, and then you get the idea of once the market open, what are the stocks that you're gonna look at, and you're gonna trade those. I mean, on the scanner you see scanner works from 7 a.m. Till 5 p.m. Market time. So you always get to see so many stocks are running, but you don't have to trade them. You should not trade every one of them. You should narrow down. You should pick those best setups and then just focus on those for the intraday, and that's it. And just call it a day. And if it doesn't work, just go for another day, the next day. That's how you can build the consistency and all that. So anyway, yeah. As far as the watch list goes, I have IMMP. Actually, let's talk about this APLD. That's why I put it up there first. This is on my second on the watch list on main. So I'm going to call these. I don't know. I come up with this idea. You tell me, guys, if it's easy to understand. I'm going to call my main watch from now on front pocket day trade ideas, not ideas. Front pocket day trade. So these are the front pocket that I have, where I talk about them in details because I traded them. And then we have back pocket, right? We have back pocket watch list where we only talk about it briefly, and we're gonna watch them on the back pocket if they run or if they show some catalyst happen or some news came out. So APLD is on my front pocket because I traded that, and this was a multi-day runner, a really good grinder for few from Tuesday to Friday. We still had this, higher low above, lots of activity, lots of threshold, and I kind of like that a stock because I scalped this a stock, and that was my trade. I think scalped it in the second day. It came out was on Wednesday. I scalped that one, and we still have this, above the range of VWAP, still trading above the VWAP. It hasn't show any sign of death cross. However, it happens on this Friday. The death cross happened, but it was a big trap for short, and it just squeezed them back up to the new high. So these are the stuff that you gotta be careful. You gotta look for the company. Why is this stuff really happening? So APLD, uh, they they're they're a financial company, software company basically, and they have a release news about their loan that they apply. They got on May 19th. They have 50 million principal loan, and that was the recent news. So one other thing that they have is, as far as like a fundamental goes, where they just recently filed for S3 shelf offering, which can let them to sell up to 41 million shares of common stock. So stock is only 57 million float, and we're talking about market cap of 700 million. So it's probably gonna be very slow. It is slow, but the volume, the average volume is very much likely going to be way less than the last week, unless if they do their offering soon. I mean, based on what they did, they filed for their S3 on May 16, if I'm not wrong. Let's take a look actually. APLD, their shelf offering goes to effect. That's why you gotta 17 May 17th. They filed that shelf offering. So that's kind of like that's a big sign for you to not go long anymore if you've been missing out, if you've been watching this and not taking a trade. So don't get a FOMO on these stuff, unless if you're seeing the pattern is in the place, if the stock pulling back, setting up for another run. I mean, definitely worth trying it. I do see that $10 range. I have it here in the $10 range. Stock, there's possibility to kind of run again and see how this can plays out. So that's my 2 cents for this. But otherwise, I'm looking for the short on this one. If the stock really going to do their offering, I mean, they file it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to execute it. They're going to make it, put it in effect. But when the company does this, when the companies run like that, and when you look at their company, the company's cash flow positive as well. So they're kind of not in need of cash. But when you dive deep into the company, why they do the shelf offering, because they saw that their stock is running. There's lots of trader on this, and if you look at their past, stock is up so much. So I mean, we're talking about, let's take a look at the Finviz. It's always much accurate. Yeah, I mean, the stock is only up 15% from past year. So they do need the cash, obviously, even though they're kind of cash positive, it says, but their income is very negative. So when you kind of see those signs, you want to be smart. You want to look at the smart money. You don't want to be dumb money. You want to look at the smart money, see what they're gonna do with it. So have this on your watch. I have this on my watch. See how is the stock is going to react, and how is this going to play out. But there's a range to the $10, but the range is very much, it's a low reward. Pretty much, we're talking about another 15%. But on the downside, we're looking at a bigger picture. We're looking at a bigger downside. I mean, if they offer stock can really dilute to at least 40% down. So be careful, be cautious on your plan. So if you plan to trade this, have a proper information data set next to it, and then place your exit and entry and exit. So APLD is on my May watch, a front pocket, and then IMMP. This was a good rat, not compared to Zella. Zella was the biggest rat. I took a bad trade on XELEA, and that was, I think IMPP was came out on the same day as well. But IMPP, I was mainly focusing on my mistakes on Zella. I completely missed out on a bigger run on IMPP personally the first day, and then I decided to really focus on the second day short, and that was a great strategy and idea that I was kind of putting together, and however, I really wanted to see more bounce, so so therefore I could kind of like add more or short at the higher level and get more reward. But I saw this bounce, and then I was mainly watching the resistance level. I think it went up to that range, and then the stock also was on easy to borrow. So I scalped this, and did just a scalp level from that I think it's 260 or something, and then went down to 230, and that was my only trade on this one IMPP. But overall, stock is holding and consolidating into that level, and it's getting to that channel to see if it's if the death cross is going to happen, or stock is gonna bounce back on a certain level. But definitely, it's gonna be like a kind of like a bounce short type of a stock. So there's a lot of shorts are waiting for this to get higher, and then hammer it to the much lower level. So that's one kind of idea to look at it. But there is, it could get a squeeze. The stock is, I think, it's very low float or mid float. Let's take a look. It's actually high float. Consider 87 mil float on a 200 million market cap, and we're talking about yeah, they do have only like 24 million 24 months left of the cash. Their cash burn is high. They do have a shelf offering. I don't see any at the market offering. So these are the stuff that you need to kind of do your due diligence on it. So where I talk about it in my private session. So you jump in the call with me, and then we go over all this stuff. And then bounce rally. So they have this news on May 17, combination with pembrolizumab achieves excellent initial overall survival first line cancer. So yeah, that's kind of like a front pocket watch list I have IMPP, and then see if this gonna really end up with the bounce, if there will be any volume. I mean, if we were seeing nothing, these things can just consolidate and just die down, and possibly you can go to that 170, 175 level. But it wouldn't be a setup anymore if there won't be any bounce for the short, or if they break down the downtrend line and then just keep on making higher low volume surge, it would be a really good long trade. Yeah, that's it for two front pocket, and then the back pocket had GSIT. We had this last week as well. The stock is just breakout of that kind of like downtrend, and then just short bounce, flush, resistant, first resistant, just consolidate, went back down, hold this 372 level, and then just break out of the downtrend, higher low, and then just continuation. So this is the kind of setup that you wanna really focus on. This is not bad in general, because I mean, I kind of like this when the stock is doing this. On the short side, very much likely to be a better setup, especially here the first resistance. You can see that pivot line. They just make that resistance, just went back down, but holding that level to see what's gonna happen in the next day, on Monday, to see if it's gonna really break above or not. I think GSIT was was an IPO, probably. Not too sure exactly, but I think they have stock split, something like that. But yeah, I mean, there is this 810 level. We see that, and they do have a 970 room to 970 room. That's like another resistant level. That's what I'm seeing right now. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's not much left in my opinion. So there's stuff. This is a stock that has so many consolidation. I mean, you can kind of like catch the bottom deep down, sell it to the high, and then wait for a pullback to see if it's gonna really do the same thing. But you gotta be cautious, because they can really. I mean, the price is high. You don't want to really get into the higher price on that one. So you want to be cautious. This thing can just really get diluted and flush back down to at $1 level at any time. So you gotta be very cautious on these. So I have it on the back bucket to take a look and see what's gonna happen. Elox is the next one. This one have only 6 months cash left and has offering possible dilution coming week and possible pump. I think we had this on the Monday. They had this kind of level of I think it was in the aftermarket before the market closed, and then that's it. I think the stock went 200%. Yes, this was the 200% that we had. Elox, the 200%, and then die down to the flush to the toilet. Biotech USA. It's not a Chinese, but I would say there are some Chinese influence in them to pump this stock like that. 1 million float, and yeah, another garbage. But we just care about we don't care about the whole fundamental. You just have to pay attention to the volume, see where the volume is going to end up eventually, because we're talking about these deep buyers. Whoever buy this at the top, they want to average down, get on this, try to pump it back up, but there's not a lot of action. There's not a lot of volume that this thing can really get above. So you got to be careful on this one. If break that downtrend, it might not really go too far, but something to consider. It can go really back down as well. I did not personally trade this because I don't know exactly if they have ATB or a hard to borrow. I'm pretty sure it's a hard to borrow stock. So yeah, and then we have ORMP, and what else we have? And I think they have Europeans today that they have their chief officer, doctor, whatever, will deliver an in-person presentation at the end of the May 31st. So that's something to keep that in mind when they have sort of presentation and stuff. They always pump their stock to have a to show how is their company doing in front of these, a new investor, that if they want to raise money or whatever. So that's something to keep that in mind. At the end of the day, after that, there's gonna be a lot of dilution. So I think that's why it's pretty much pumping to the certain level, and why the stock is really in that kind of like, I think it's probably lots of insider activity in this one as well. Who knows? Who knows? But that's something to keep that in mind. We're looking at the pattern to see if this really gonna continues, or just drive back down. And then I have GDC. This was the one that I put it on the back pocket as well. I kind of like this downtrend, and then probably another bounce. They announced a closing 9.55 million direct offering. So they had this offering already. So I mean, there's possible to, see more continuation if there would be a news, or it would have any surge in the volume. And I have Zella, the most trappiest one for me that last week, and on the long side, I did not trade this on the short side, unfortunately. But oh no, fortunately, I should have actually traded this on the long side, but I end up just focusing on the long side. I should have traded on the short side, but sometimes happen. Some strategy, some pattern didn't work for me, and then I was not paying attention to other setups. I was really locked into this after I came from a trip. This happened. You gotta understand. Sometimes you don't follow the playbook that you have. You need to go back to the playbook and read where was your mistake. But this wasn't the mistake that is gonna hurt me. It's gonna make me out of the game. It was something that I wouldn't expected, and it was just one. I think the Zila was the only red day I have for the past 2 months. So I mean, I don't really care, but it's just something to, you gotta go over your mistake. You gotta journal your mistake. You gotta see. You should prevent that mistake to not happen again. If that's something, that's definitely behavioral thing. It's not, you don't blame the market. You blame yourself, and you're just gonna accept it and then move on, and try better the next day. And that's how your mindset should be. You should not get, very emotional about something that was out of your hand as well. So yeah, Zella, I have it on the watch list anyway. They have news at Magic Quadrant for finance, accounting, business processing, outsource, and whatever. So I mean, they've been trying to break out of this, 796. I was watching them. They try to make that new high, and my kind of thesis was that there is a possibility to the new high. I mean, it's 885 wasn't an actual really resistant when I was looking at their past resistance. So for me, I was thinking that kind of that side of the trade, and I thought there's a front side for it. It's always in the front side, but my mistake was I was trading in the back side. The back side was just shorting. Short traders were on this 24/7 pretty much, and they tried to hammer this down. So yeah, I mean, Zella flush back down, death cross, no bueno, nothing, no revolvers left. But I mean, at this level, we're having this, kind of shorter time frame to see if there's gonna be a bounce to that 6-7 level again. So I put it on the watch to see if it's gonna really be a really good kind of range to the upside. And we have an ENVB, which was another one on Thursday. I think I traded this. This was a really good trade. But yeah, they come up with the Bioscience to participate in 2023 Bio International Convention in Boston. So that's their headline. ENVB still in the good range, but lots of VIX. I don't like this kind of wicks. Probably in Monday we will see this first day, first red day, and then flush back down. The stock is 1 million floats. Not a lot of activities. I don't see much volume anymore. But this was a really good Thursday kind of trade, and the Friday to try to get above that new high, kind of like squeeze the shorts and just flush back down below the VWAP. But below the VWAP, there's a range they hold, so they want to kind of like play around with it. But I'm thinking that Monday we might see a more flush on this one, so we'll see how this can plays out. And then lastly, I have SDA. This was the one that I wasn't trading on Friday. Take a day off because of my health, but I saw that the scanner was alerting this SDA, and I think it's a bank related stock as well, Merrill Lynch, and this the low float IPO. That's the only information kind of I got on this one, so not sure too much about it, but yeah, this was pretty much an IPO kind of setup. But yeah, overall, I have it on the back pocket. They might kind of, with all these banking stuff, regional banks still going on. That's a topic. We might see some activities on this one as well on the long side upside, but it's an IPO. There's not going to be shorts available yet, unless if you're talking about you using a better broker and brokerage and using good good level of institutional level of borrowing shares. So I don't know exactly if there will be some sort of major news on this one, but we'll see. I have it on the back pocket because I want to see more action on this one and see where the stock is heading. So yeah, that's it for our Sunday weekly watches this week. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys learn something new, and prepare for upcoming days. And this is going to be the last week of the month, May. So pretty much we're going to wrap up the May as well. Things going fast. So hopefully you guys are ready or educated. If you're not, go to I created the course for you guys. Get yourself educated, so you can be on top of everything. So anyway, that's it, guys. Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. Send out the top gainers as well, and we were gonna focus on the best setups as always. Take care, team. If you have any questions, just reach out to support. Reach out to me on Telegram. So we're gonna help you out if you have any questions. And that's it. Take care.